right, this is Renee, the mentor of Sunshine Living. And today we are going to talk about using our crazy for good. So it's a new year, 2020, a new decade even. And I say we use our crazy for good. Some people have heard me talk about the fact that we are all a little crazy. And what I mean by that, because I'm a therapist and a life coach, and I know that that's not a word that we typically use. But I say to own whatever your psychological and emotional pain is and to not put it on other people. And I also say that we are all a little crazy because we don't always handle our emotions very well. And that it isn't two boxes, that it's a spectrum, and we're all on that spectrum somewhere. So use your crazy for good. And so I'm going to talk about three things. And so there are three things that I think would be very helpful moving into this new decade for people, because I don't really believe in new year, new me. It's a new year, it's a new decade, but it's the same me. I am growing like a plant. Not like that plant, because that plant, I don't know how much longer it's going to make it. Let's just be honest. That plant, I'm trying to keep it alive, but we are all growing, hopefully, like a plant. And what I mean by that is no one can necessarily see how much you're growing, but you know that you're growing. And hopefully you'll look up and you'll have sprouted a little bit more. And hopefully as the weeks go by, this plant also flourishes. So 3 things that I think are really important, and forgive me because I am going to look down at my notes. 3 things that I think are really important going into this new decade is, number 1, feel everything. Let me say that some of the stuff that I say to you will be counterintuitive, meaning it'll be the opposite of some of the things that we've been taught, or some of the things that maybe another therapist or life coach has told you. But the reality is I'm sharing with you the things that I've learned in my 20 plus years of healing myself, and in my, about 15 years in the field of mental health and social services. So number 1, feel everything. Feel everything, but don't put those emotions or feelings on other people. So what I mean by that is just to acknowledge and own how you feel, and also sit in your feelings, to literally say, today I feel a little overwhelmed, or that really made me sad, or I'm a little angry about that. All of those things are okay, and we don't spend enough time feeling. We do, however, spend a great deal of time running from our feelings and trying to stop our feelings. In order to heal, there needs to be a level of acceptance of our feelings. It's okay to feel. Feelings, we've been taught, make us weak. I'm here to tell you that that's a lie. And it's actually the exact opposite. Our feelings make us whole. Our feelings make us human. It's important to feel them, acknowledge them, because they're like small children. It's like a 2-year-old. You can ignore a 2-year-old all you want, but ultimately a 2-year-old, like our emotions, just have needs. And the outward expression of those emotions, the adult tantrums that we might be having, basically are trying to tell us something. The same thing as a 2-year-old that is running around tearing up stuff. There's a message in there. And if you will acknowledge and sit long enough in your feelings, you will discover what that message is. And so the first thing, as I said, is to feel everything. The second thing that I think is really important is to identify and be okay with the fact that you have a story, whatever that story is. So being okay with your entire story, owning what has happened to you, and accepting it as a part of your story, but not defining who you are. I have multiple traumas. I'm a therapist. I am still healing. I've done a great deal of healing. That's why I'm able to smile and be happy and skip around the city all day. And that's why I'm able to help people so authentically. But at the same time, a part of my healing came from owning the fact that these things happened to me. They didn't happen because something is wrong with me. They didn't happen because I somehow deserve them. They happened to me with purpose. It's hard to see that when you're in the middle of trying to heal and you really just want to be out of emotional pain. But the reality is you can't have a testimony without some sort of trauma. You can't have a testimony without a story. And so my testimony is you can survive whatever that you've gone through, and you can be a better person because of it. And then you can use all of that to help other people, which I believe is the real reason why we're here. It's to love unconditionally, and live our truth and live with purpose every day, and to continue to be connected to our spirit, and to be an expression of joy every single day. So trying to figure out how you can basically own and accept your story, whether that is through journaling, whether that is through going to a therapist or using a life coach, trying to find a way to own your story. If you decide to go to therapy, one of the things that we do in therapy is to write a narrative, and it's basically the rewriting and the reframing of your story. So own your story. That was number 2. Number 1 was feel everything. Number 2 was own your story and accept your story. Make peace with your story. And the number 3 thing to do, I think a good thing to do for the new year, is to begin to practice being assertive. There are many people in the world that basically bounce back and forth. They bounce back and forth from being aggressive to being passive. And what happens is they are passive for a really long time. They don't say anything because, they want to keep the peace. And, they're a people pleaser and they don't want people to dislike them. And so they're passive for a really long time. And then they go way over to the other side of being aggressive. They blow up and they feel like, well, I had to blow up because nobody is listening to me. As adults, what I've learned and what I have worked with many of my clients is that being assertive is the most powerful place to be. A lot of people feel like being aggressive is. If you are being aggressive in any way, shape, or form, you have given your power away. If you're being passive, if in any way, shape, or form, you are not only giving your power away, but you're being dishonest. And so the most helpful and the most loving and the most evolved and mature space to be in is being assertive. What does that mean? Assertive is speaking your truth, speaking up about how you feel, but also allowing other people to have, their own feelings and how they feel. It's a space of honoring yourself, but also honoring other people. It is a space where you never have to raise your voice. It's a space where you don't really have to bite your tongue. It is a space of love for yourself, but also love for others. It's saying, this is what I need, and this is what's important to me, but what's important to you, and how can we coexist in a space of love together? Being assertive is one of the most loving things that I've ever done for myself and ever done for others. A person who is assertive can own how they feel, but also accept how other people feel. A person who is assertive never needs to raise their voice now 1 octave. A person who is assertive can make sure that they feel heard, but also listen to others. A person who is assertive can apologize, but also can ask for an apology. A person who's assertive can stay in a space of love even if other people don't agree with them. And a person who's assertive doesn't need to cut people off. They can say, if you want to exist with me, these are the requirements. And what are the requirements to exist in your space? And it's that simple. So these are just 3 things. It is a new year, a new decade, and that's great. But these are 3 things that over the past few years, as a therapist, I'm in private practice now. Yeah, I did it for the culture. These are 3 things that have really helped me, and have helped, the people around me, and have helped clients in the past as well. So Let me know what you think. Are you the kind of person that is okay with how you feel? Are you the kind of person that knows, that your story, the quote unquote good and bad of your story? I don't like good or bad. We'll get into that later. All parts of your story are important and you own that. Are you a person that is trying to practice being assertive? Being assertive is not easy. Not everybody has it down, not even me. It's a work in progress, but it's also important. If this stuff makes sense to you, tell me about it. Leave a comment or a question, and let me know what you think. This is Rena Mentor of Sunshine Living. Go forth and shine on the world.